Hi, mamas, and welcome to episode 1 of the Mama Genius Hub podcast. I am so excited that you're here. And I just want to tell you exactly what this podcast is all about. And it actually just starts with my story from today. As I'm trying to work through hiding in plain sight, and I'm sure many of you have done that as well. And what does that even mean? It means that we have something deep inside of us that we just keep hiding. We start doing these great things and we start doing things, but then we try to push them back down. I was seeing my daughter swim and went over to another mom and said to her, she asked, "What am I doing today?" I'm like, "Oh, same old, same old. What's new? Nothing's new." And towards the end of the conversation, it's like, "I got one more thing to show you." And I whip out a picture of the podcast image for this. And she's like, "That's same old, same old." And that feeling of just not being enough, of not knowing what to say or how to do it came up. And all of a sudden she's like, "Well, what's it about?" And I was like, "It's about moms finding their inner genius." And what does that even mean? It means that what's deep inside of us, which leads me to for over a year now, I've worked to create this into a blog. I've been interviewing people and talking to others and thinking, I really want to start a podcast someday, but I really have to start this blog first. And then all of a sudden, on my birthday last week, I was talking to the person who I hired to help me with my blog. And towards the end of the conversation, I don't think he even knew, but I was just on the verge of tears. I was like, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I even want to do this. What I want to do is I want to talk and explore with people and talk about all these issues and ideas that we never talk about, that we hide inside it right in plain sight. And that led me to go, why don't I just take these interviews and turn them straight into a podcast? And voila, here we are. Instead of a blog, we're loading right into a podcast where we're going to talk straight. You're going to listen to this in the car, listen to this wherever you want, because you know what? We are busy mamas, but we're working to redefining what that means. We're going to work on talking about what are the things that we are doing that we're inspired to do. And instead of being busy and feeling like we're going through all the motions, we're going to be enjoying and talking about the things that we're enjoying doing, such as me getting into my own genius zone. What does that even mean? It means that we're doing the things that open up our hearts, that speak to us, the things that we find passionate, and the things that we feel are great. The idea comes from Guy Hendricks, who has 4 different zones, and many of us live in the zone of excellence. What does that mean? It means that we do things that we're really good at, that people think we're well at, just like a really good lawyer who might be making lots of money, but has a hit inside of them going, I hate what I do. I'm really good at it, and I don't know if I can go towards doing something I really feel passionate about. So I'm just going to keep doing this. And I felt like I was doing that for quite a while. I was teaching and decided that when we moved to Wisconsin, I decided that I'd be a stay-at-home mom. After going back and forth in my head, whether what should I do? That's really what I wanted to do, but I was afraid of not having the second income and what that would mean. And when I went back to work for 6 months, when the income paid for exactly what the daycare was worth, it was like, okay, there's a sign. This isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't need to do this anymore. But it was hard to let go of all of that. And now all 3 of my kids are back in school. And it's like, now what? What am I doing with myself? And it led me down this path of wanting to create something, of wanting more. And it was actually of 2020, September 1st, actually, during the midst of COVID, that we decided to homeschool our kids for that year. We both had family members that had cancer, and at the time we had no idea what COVID was or what it meant, and we were just trying to be safe. And so we decided to homeschool them. But that same day, I decided to start a program called the 75 Hard. I don't know if any of you have heard of it or what it is, but it's a program where you do all the things each day. So it's 2 45-minute workouts. One has to be outdoors. You stick to a diet, you take your picture, you read 10 pages of nonfiction, no alcohol. So basically, you're just redefining these habits. The kicker is, though, is if you don't do any one of these things, you're supposed to start back at day 1. So it's like doing it for 75 days in a row to really reset your habits. And it was one of those ones where my husband looked at me and goes, oh, okay, you're going to do this. Okay, we'll see how long this lasts. And the days just kept ticking off. And before I knew, I was at day 75 and I had completed the first phase of it. and realized I wanted to go on to create the next 3 phases. And phase one, the scary part, I think a lot of you may already know, is it includes 5-minute cold showers as well. And sure enough, I went and I kicked off phase one. It also includes doing 3 things that you choose of your own to make sure you're doing every day, but to really create your own habits. And that's a 30-day one. And then they give you a break in phase two where you go back to doing the everything from 75 hard without the extra stuff just to get you along. And then phase three is supposed to take you to the end of the year. So you get breaks in between, but it takes you to the very end of the year. And so fast forward to me, everyone, we're in phase three, you also have to talk to a stranger every day. We're still a little bit in COVID during this time, so that part was getting difficult. You do a random act of kindness on top of the 5-minute cold showers and things that you're doing, reading every day, the 2 45-minute workouts, making sure you're getting outdoors every day. Rain, sleet, I've been soaked all over the place. But at the end of it is day 25 of phase three. And I must have fallen asleep reading. I wake up, and it's funny because in the podcast, you always hear one thing someone forgets to do that really messes them up is take that picture. And sure enough, it's 2:30 in the morning, and I had forgotten to take my picture. There's no starting over with a phase three because it's supposed to take you to the end of the year. So I'm like, did I fail? Did I do this? I took my picture, and with the support of some friends, I ended up finishing the 5 days. And for the first time ever, I think I finally realized what it meant. It was about the journey because it made me pause and look at what had I actually accomplished. By that point, I'd already lost 45 pounds. I had really changed my habits. Eating was different. The way I was responding to people was different. I was now meditating. I had this idea for a business. I had all these things that had grown because of these habit changes. But it was taking the pause to look, wow. And many times us moms just sit in the busyness of it and forget to pause and really take in the things that we are doing. And so that's what this podcast is all about, is celebrating our victories and celebrating each other as we lift each other up. Because as we change that energy in each of us, it's not one succeeding in front of the other that we leave someone behind. We inspire and we take each other forward with us. So the more each one of us changes our energy and creates a genius inside of us living, and really we start to inspire those around us. And I see my kids, as I started down this entrepreneur route, I kept thinking, what am I going to take away from my kids? It never occurred to me, what am I going to give my kids? What are they going to take from it? And just watching them with their new ideas, from my son to wanting to create his own little microgreen business, to wanting to help me create some of my shorts and support me in my journey, and just the camaraderie and the connection that it's created, and the genuine connection because we're doing things that we both enjoy doing, and watching my daughter just flourish in her drawing, but then wanting to spend time with her, doing the drawing with her, and just the things that we're doing together on a different level because of how I've changed my energy and the things I'm doing. And that's really what this podcast is to do, is how do we change that? How do we actually be those role models for our kids? Because we want them to be happy, healthy adults, right? But the question is, can they be if they don't have that role model? And so let's be that role model for them and living in our genius zone. And no, it's not easy. As I sit here, I realized that I was hiding behind the blog. I was still doing the interviews and things, but to sit here in front of the microphone, I was hiding my voice. Ever since I started down this journey and even taking my Reiki classes, became a second level Reiki, I was something in my throat just with my voice and not being able to get it out there. And so I sit here at 9:25 at night after taking my daughters to swim and really sitting here going, I'm just going to get this out. I'm going to do this. And it's time to launch this come hell or high water, because it's just time. And it's time to get my voice out there, despite the fears of today, even just in a coaching session, just what if no one wants to listen to what I have to say? And just the thought of, where is that coming from? And thinking back to elementary school, when I'd be in the front of the room and I would hear cherry bomb noises in the back of the room because I knew I'd turn red so easily, that it would just, this fear of speaking in front of others was so prevalent. And just having those thoughts come in front of me, as I always been the one who would tell the bad joke. So everyone else would be in the room telling almost exact same thing. And then as soon as I said it, the room would just stop. Everyone look at me going, I can't believe you just said that. And wasn't that they actually said that, but the looks came. And my husband was a witness to one of these one time, and he just always brings that up as an example of me. And that just shuts down my voice and how we hold on to some of these stories in our heads and these ideas that we forget about. And that's really what this is about, is this podcast for me and to speak out to you all is to really bring forth those stories in our head so we can rewrite them and retell that narrative. Like, yes, that may have happened, but it's made me grow and be more compassionate to how I speak to people and the way I look at people because that had happened, because I did that in the past. I don't want to make anyone feel like that again in the future. And so I work towards those things and working towards getting that message out there. And so I hope you'll join me on this journey as we will dive into what genius really is. And for me, it's an acronym that with G, we're going to be guiding kids' genius. We're going to be looking at aspects of ways to really awaken the genius in our kids because we want them to find it and find it now. I don't want them to have to wait till they're in their 40s to find their genius. It's time to start unleashing this in each other. And E is empowering mama's purpose because really it's your purpose. And the purpose behind each of us mamas is really going to be that inspiration for each of us. But we need to work together to find it and to step out of that comfort zone and say, yeah, I can get out of my zone of excellence and I can really live in that zone of genius. And then N takes us to navigating motherhood because you know what? We don't have to do it alone anymore. We're going to have some tips in there and ideas and just different ways and perspectives to look and to think about these things. And then, of course, I is igniting connection because it truly is about our connections with each other. When you're in front of someone, you're in front of that person or listening to whatever it is you're listening to for that moment because it was put there for you. When your kids are talking to you and you can't give them that moment for that thing, tell them that and then turn to finish doing what you're doing, then give them your full attention because it's really about those connections. And the last part is really about the women's circles, which you may never have heard that term before. And maybe you have. And what does that even mean is I truly believe the way women's come together in circles, in the way we talk openly in this a different format with circle principles, that we can really open up and answer those questions of who we are and what is our purpose. And really it's doing it through connection. Because when we try to do it alone, again, we're lost in those stories with each other. We're lost in the stories of what's in our head. But when we say things out loud and speak it from our heart, things just emerge. And we'll learn all about that. I was blessed to have gone to Parliament last summer and met so many different circle leaders and learned how many there are out there and the presence and the world that is coming and changing. And there's hope in that for me. And I just am so excited to be able to interview some of these circle leaders and learn from them and work with them. And I want to bring that all to you. And of course, you is for unleashing that self-care because we do have to take care of ourselves first. We do need to put that oxygen mask on. Feels like a saying that's been said over and over, but it's so true that we need to do that first. Because if our cup's filled, then when the kids are throwing that tantrum or they're just irritating, that we have just a little bit less of an edge, that we are able to respond rather than react, or even just walk away rather than yell. And that's what we're looking for when you have that self-care, is that tip. I've been trying to get my middle daughter back to meditating with me, and I keep giving her tidbits of how it helps us um, really be proactive about some of these skills and ideas, that we're not waiting for trying to use deep breathing when we're angry. It's just already part of the ingrained in us. So we want to talk about a lot of the proactive toolbox throughout this podcast as well, and getting some of these ideas. And again, it's not that you have to use all of them. What you want to do is when your gut speaks to you of one of these ideas, give it a try. Give it at least 7 days and see if it's making a difference in you. And even with meditation, remember, it's not about sitting still and getting good at meditation. It's about, does you working with your mind and doing those things help you through the rest of your day? Are you getting better at your day and the things and the response time rather than reaction? That's what you're looking for these proactive tools. And no, they're not going to work like immediately. The consistency will give you the chance to do more and to respond more and to have that control over yourself, because it's really all the control you have. but you do have that control if you take it. Whenever you're stressed, you have that chance to take control of your breath. You can release it back to your body and your body will take over. But at any point, you can and have the power to take the deep breath. But it's a matter of, are you willing to? And lastly, we have S for genius, which is success stories, because it's all about celebration and the success of what we as women are accomplishing and what we as mamas are accomplishing. And we do more when we work together, we learn from each other, and we rise those tides. Because really, mamas, we don't have to do motherhood alone. Feels like we've been told that we need to, and we need to be that Pinterest perfect mom. But this place is a place to talk about all the things and to get that encouragement and that place and that space to really open up and learn what authenticity and vulnerability really means, because we have been so closed off. We've been living in our boxes for so long. We've been living in our little cars. We don't go to the river anymore and commune as we're doing laundry together, and as they do in villages, and have those kind of conversations. We've closed ourselves off to a lot of that. That it's not just as easy to just say, okay, well, I'm going to go in front of a group of women and share everything that is on the top of my head. It will take some time. It will take some baby steps, and it will take the willingness to give it a try. And that's what I'm hoping to unleash in all of you, is that inner genius that you each have within you, and the tools to be able to do that, and the tools to be able to unleash that in your kids as well, because this is a ripple effect of making this a better world with more positive energy, and not the kind where we're just always giving affirmations or anything. We have all our day stuff, but it's more about the response. They were able to respond to each other rather than react, and live with more curiosity and wonderment rather than accusations and ideas, and trying to figure out, where are people coming from, trying to understand rather than have this idea that one person's right or wrong. There's so much more gray in this world than we give credit for. And so let's lead with curiosity and trying to understand. And that's what this is all about. And so, welcome to episode 1. I hope you will join me on this journey as we dive into Mama's Genius, because you are all, each one of you are a genius. All we need to do is unlock the wonderful person that you are. And it's not even unlock, it's release some of the things we've told ourselves that isn't even true. But it's a story inside of us that we are here to unlock and to release together, because through that connection that we can really do this. So I can't wait to dive into episode 2 as we start to dive into a lot of these interviews that I'd already done ahead of time for the blog. Now it's time to release them as a podcast. And then I'll be diving back in to do some one-on-ones with you as well. But I'm just so excited to really just get my voice out there and see what happens, because I know that the more we all step out of our comfort zone and lead to where our heart's leading us to, the better that we all will be. And so thank you for everyone, and I'll see you next time.